Hi, this is Lee Benz, the home scholar, and a mom just recently asked me, how did I get my children full tuition scholarships? So let me just talk to you about that for just a moment. When we're done, if you want more information, I have a video on getting the big scholarships, and it is on homeschoolthroughhighschool.com, and you can get tons of information that way. But basically there's a few things that you want to do. One thing is to study for the SAT or the ACT test, because there's a lot of scholarships that are based solely on those tests. And so the more you can study, the more likely you are to do well on the test. But probably the key to that is that there's always going to be kids that are smarter than your child. And so what your goal with that test is to make them smarter than the other people applying to that school. So for example, you find out what their score is going to be, and then you look at the college and find out what the average score is for people admitted to that college, and you want your child to be the smartest applicant that they see that year. So in that sense, they don't even have to be geniuses. They only have to be geniuses compared to the other people going to school. Okay, so you want to do your research on the school and make sure that your child is the smartest, best applicant that they see. Now, when it comes to studying for the SAT, I usually encourage people to try to study at least 3 or 4 times a week for at least 1 year prior to taking that test for real. Usually that test is taken during junior year, and so studying all during your junior year, but even part of your sophomore year or all of your sophomore year can really help. Now, one thing to remember about studying for that test is that it's not only studying for a test, but studying for the SAT and the ACT is actually, it's like a vocabulary workbook. Let's look at it that way. It's a little math workbook. It's a little vocabulary workbook. And so when they're studying for these things, yeah, they're studying for a test, but they're also learning some very valuable skills, some vocabulary development. They're practicing math that they haven't practiced for a long time. They've been working on calculus. It's good for them to go back to Algebra 1 now and then to keep those skills fresh. So that was one of the things that was helpful for me. I'm not a big tester in my homeschool. We didn't do a lot of tests, but one of the things I kept thinking about was it really is just like those little grade-specific workbooks I used to buy at Costco, because when my children were very young, I'd get them like the 4th grade workbook, and they would do a page a day. So I kind of thought, okay, SAT test, that's pretty much like that too, and it's just more grade-specific for 10th or 11th grade, and they would just do one section each day. Each section is about 25 or 30 minutes long, depending on the test, not real bulky. And again, your goal is not for them to get a perfect score necessarily, but for them to get a better score than they had done before. But I really do think that studying for the SAT and the ACT is one of the biggest things that you can do to get big scholarships. I hope that helps.